Godzina 10.
Okay, so it is 10 a.m., ladies and gentlemen. So we are about to start. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next seminar of the Local Development Forum devoted to innovative and creative administration. So what are we going to do today? Many interesting remarks, thoughts, because we tend to associate the Ministry of Development and Regional Policy with administration. And yes, definitely administration is important, but this day and age also requires innovation and creativity in administration. So this is what we're going to talk about from the Polish and Norwegian perspective today, because we have very competent experts here with us that can share their experience both from Norway and from Poland. So from the one hand, on the one hand, we will have experts, consultants with practical experience, but they work as advisors more so today. But we also going to have practitioners from the Polish side. And we are Łukasz Dąbrówka and Tomasz Kaiser. We will be the moderators of this seminar. So this seminar is realized thanks to a bilateral cooperation between Polish and Norwegian local governments. The meeting is interpreted into the Polish sign language, and also those of you who are with us for the first time, you can jot down these phone numbers in case of any technical difficulties. Please contact us directly. So, Tomek, you have mentioned what we are going to do today, because yes, the topic is definitely very interesting. Usually, when we think of administration, we think of some fixed procedures, but we are going to look at it from the perspective of good new practices. Yes, we are definitely going to be very practical about it. I would say it is a kind of next level, a higher level of operation here. We used to say that the Polish local governments are have to be very creative and very innovative, because otherwise they wouldn't have faced and conquered the challenges that they encounter. We definitely require a new mode of operation in this day and age. So today we're going to see what the practices are in some specific cities, and we will listen, how to adopt those practices. And like I said, we are going to have a more practice-oriented approach from people who actually use those new methods and those new approaches. Yes, this is all very interesting. I would say that the practice from the Polish and Norwegian perspective is definitely the most important aspect that you mentioned. And so, with that said, I would like to welcome our participants and introduce them into this seminar. So, first we have Mr. Kamil Witold, the head of division of the Department of Assistance Programs, Ministry of Development Funds and Regional Policy. Next, we have Mr. Tomasz Potański, the Deputy Executive Director of the Association of Polish Cities. We also have Mrs. Elita Cakula, head of the International Projects Department of the Norwegian Association of Local and Regional Authorities. Kamil, we see that you are here already, so the floor is yours. Hello, thank you very much. I'm very happy that Łukasz mentioned where I'm from, because this proper name of this institution is quite a tongue twister. So yes, welcome to you, ladies and gentlemen, to this seminar, which is, as my colleagues have said in the introduction, a little bit of a paradox, because we tend to associate the local government and governmental administration with a very stable and unchanging entity or set of procedures. And today we're going to talk about creativity and innovation in administration. This is one of the topics that we have defined as key in terms of the development of local governments and municipalities. So I think we will hear about those experiences today from our experts and participants. Obviously, the governmental administration and administration as it is, also on the local government level, has to be innovative and creative to best realize its tasks, its objectives. Also, my colleagues have mentioned that as well. Sometimes there is a lack of resources. We are also aware of that, but other times the tasks are very flexible that we have to fulfill. I hope that the local development projects that our cities have done will allow us to search for the sources of innovation and creativity, and also will allow us to kind of break this stagnation that we often see in various offices. I'm also counting on the input from our participants, the input about the ideas and possibilities of realizing those tasks that will allow us to use our resources in the most effective manner. What is also important, and what we have also tried to stress time and time again, innovation and this creativity that we are talking about has to be tailored to our needs. We have to remember that many solutions that we sometimes see in other places have to be scaled to our needs, to our expectations and possibilities, so that the solution, which might be good in and of itself, actually works in our specific context. So I hope that we will hear these kinds of ideas today, and that we can talk about them in this seminar. So now I will give the floor to our partners in the project, which is defined as the bilateral initiative. So the floor goes to Mrs. Elita Zakula and Mr. Tomasz Podkański for the next part of this seminar. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very fruitful meeting. Thank you to Mr. Kamil Wieder. Welcome, everybody. We have decided that I will start this part of the introduction, so that Mrs. Elita can then take over and make a smooth transition to the next part. So hello, everybody. Once again, we are meeting here on this seminar within the bilateral initiative cooperation that we have already mentioned. So today we are talking about the creativity and innovation in public administration. And so since we are meeting online today, this goes to show that we are creative and we are innovative. As you probably are aware, these online seminars are our response from April of 2020 to the COVID pandemic. So here we have also representatives of the Polish Association of Local Governments. This partnership has been going on for the past 18 years, and this is the third project financed from public funds, both from Poland and from Norway. So we have collaborated also for 12 years within one specific fund, and we have two projects realized in that area. We have also collaborated with the Norwegian Association of Local and Regional Authorities for a long while now. A few hundred of Polish local government representatives have visited Norway during that time, and we are very happy about that. And also about 100 of local government representatives have come to Poland for various internships and so on. So the exchange of experiences both ways has definitely been going on. The visits from Norwegian advisors have also happened. We have heard about many of their experiences, and this is what also is going to happen today. So now a word of a maybe broader context. The main objective of local governments is to provide public services, high quality public services, so that for us to be able to provide those services, we have to realize structural investments. But first and foremost, we have to care about the mode of operation of our offices, the effectiveness, and the institutional flow of our local governments. So this high quality of services means that we have to keep up with the expectations of our inhabitants. Sometimes we have to exceed those expectations and go beyond them, and this requires us to continuously work on the culture of organization of our offices, a culture that would allow for innovation, that will invite local government representatives to be creative and to give their input into those services. It also means that they have to be highly motivated, because otherwise we will not be able to achieve that high quality and keep up with the expectations. This is what our guests are going to talk about today, our guests from Norway, of course, and this is what we are also going to hear about from our Polish participants. We have learned a lot from our Norwegian partners for the past 18 years, so with that I will give the floor to my colleague Elita Tsakule, who will talk more about this teamwork, and I will hold the microphone.
Thank you, Tomasz, and nice being here. And when we were preparing for this seminar, for this development forum, I was thinking what actually motivates me as a cooperation partner with the Association of Polish Cities, but also as employee and a team leader. So what I think is one important thing for me is that the job that I do is in itself is useful, that is useful and valuable also for the others, that I do something which is highly appreciated by the others. But in this sense, I also need a high level of possibility to make my own decisions, my own judgments. And I also need to have a confidence that whatever happens, I will be able to master the challenge, to master the task, and that I have enough competence and ability for this. What is also important for me, possibility to use my experience, my skills, my knowledge in the way as expected in the project, in my work, but also opportunity to learn and develop. What also I need is clear roles and role division, so that I know what is expected from me as employer, as a partner in the project. And also, I think it's very important to have this, as we call it in Norway, mastery-oriented motivation climate, which means that in the team where we work, so we have that we use everyone's best potential instead of competing with each other, so that we support each other in the work we do. And I think it's important in every working place, and it's important very much in municipalities, local governments, and people in local governments is the most important resource. And so this is what I need. I think I perceive also that this is something what other employees, other workers in local governments need. And I think that today we will get quite a lot of advices and examples how to reach this motivation, innovation in the local government.
Yeah, thank you. I naszym pierwszym
Thank you very much. And the first speaker for today will be Mrs. Grethe Holtan from Norway. We are very happy that she is here with us in Poznan because her availability is very slim, but she is very experienced in administration, in management, in such manners of management that develop creativity and innovation. She was also an executive director in tech industry, so she has many different perspectives, and she will be so kind to share her knowledge today with us.
Hello, nice to see you.
Bardzo dziękuję. Miło Was wszystkich widzieć. Nazywam się Grethe Holtan.
What's going to
I,
happen? It's still the people who produce something together.
Powinniście kraść ludzi, którzy są w stanie coś wypracować, a także ludzi, którzy kierują rynkami, kierują środowiskiem. Nie chcę mówić za wiele na temat siebie samej, ponieważ zostałam dostatecznie przedstawiona. Natomiast innowacje i kreatywność to bardzo ważne rzeczy. Natomiast to, co się liczy na tak zwany koniec dnia, to praktyczne wdrożenie tych idei. To jest coś, co daje dodatkową wartość firmie czy organizacji. Jest to taka bardzo kompleksowa, złożona mieszanka, ponieważ chodzi o budżet, o gospodarowanie, środowisko, nasze zasoby ludzkie, a wreszcie musimy zastanowić się nad krótkim i długim terminem. Natomiast innowacja wreszcie to zrozumienie, co robić i jak to robić, a także czego nie robić. Kiedy poprawiamy nasze możliwości, kiedy się rozszerzamy, to musimy też wiedzieć, kiedy powinniśmy się zatrzymać, kiedy powinniśmy przestać robić pewne rzeczy. I powinniśmy o tym pamiętać, bo mamy prawa i regulacje, które nas ograniczają. Ta transakcja między tym, co zrobiliśmy kiedyś, a co zrobimy w przyszłości, może być nie tylko wyzwaniem, ale może być również kosztowna. A więc na koniec dnia musimy być właścicielami, musimy mieć władztwo nad tym, co robimy. Czyli musimy być właścicielami tej innowacji, nawet jeżeli mamy zewnętrzne źródła finansowania, budżet i ograną sytuację prawną. Musimy być właścicielami tej innowacji, żeby odnieść sukces. Jak więc mamy to zrobić? Jak mamy wprowadzać innowacje i robić to w sposób kreatywny? Przede wszystkim nasi własni pracownicy to najważniejszy zasób. To są ludzie, którzy zainwestowali bardzo wiele lat w organizację, wiedzą, co robią, mają całe potrzebne doświadczenie i otrzymują kompletną informację zwrotną od całego otoczenia, czy też od rynku. Jeżeli więc jesteśmy w stanie znaleźć sposób, który pozwoli przekazywać organizacji informacje z tak zwanego pola działania czy z rynku, dostajemy te informacje, możemy wykorzystać komputer, żeby je przeanalizować i zobaczyć, jaki mamy potencjał w krótkim i długim horyzoncie czasowym. Dzięki temu możemy poprawić nasze doświadczenie, ale również uzyskać wiele potrzebnych idei. 40% wszystkich innowacyjnych działań to pracownicy, 10% to własne badania i własna technologia. To, co teraz widzimy, to to, że świat zmienia się coraz szybciej. Środowisko, czy też otoczenie rynkowe, użytkownicy mają bardzo wiele wymagań i roszczeń. Rozwijają się razem z technologią, a więc oczekują pewnych rzeczy, których nie oczekiwali kiedyś, albo o których nawet nigdy nie myśleli, czy nie mówili. Musimy więc dostosować się do rynku, czy też do środowiska, do otoczenia biznesowego, do naszych użytkowników, ponieważ oni rozwijają się bardzo szybko. Jeżeli chcemy w przyszłości odnieść sukces, musimy być tego świadomi. Być może musimy już na bardzo wczesnym etapie zacząć o tym rozmawiać. Widzimy również, że pojawiają się coraz to nowe usługi, coraz to nowe produkty, coraz to nowe regulacje prawne, coraz więcej działania w środowisku międzynarodowym. Pojawiają się kwestie bezpieczeństwa i zagrożenia dla bezpieczeństwa. Musimy wiedzieć, jak pracować z systemami ochrony bezpieczeństwa. A więc wszystkie te rzeczy mogą nam zapewnić sukces w innowacjach. No dobrze, jakich w takim razie umiejętności potrzebujemy w nowoczesnej administracji? Przede wszystkim to wszystko dzieje się bardzo szybko, a więc musimy być dostępni dla naszych ludzi, dla naszych pracowników. Musimy wykorzystywać nowoczesne technologie i nasi pracownicy oczekują informacji zwrotnej. Chcą być na czacie, być może chcą w środku nocy dowiedzieć się czegoś nowego. I też jako rząd czy samorząd musimy być też bardzo odpowiedzialnymi doradcami. Musimy mówić im, czego nie mają robić, czego nie będziemy na przykład oferować. Nie chodzi tylko o to, czym są nasze usługi, ale też czym one nie są i czego nie oferujemy, ponieważ to my mamy ten autorytet w społeczeństwie i rzeczywiście to w naszą stronę się patrzy, ale potrzebujemy dostarczać rzeczy, które są potrzebne. Natomiast też wiedzieć, czego nie dostarczać, a więc musimy mieć jasno określone granice. Co więcej, jest bardzo duża rywalizacja w komunikowaniu się. W społeczeństwie widzimy, że wiele instytucji, firm, przedsiębiorstw jest bardzo aktywnych. Widzimy więc, że jako jednostka rządowa czy też samorządowa musimy być bardzo aktywnymi komunikatorami. Musimy opowiadać, wyjaśniać, pokazywać, kim jesteśmy. Też w związku z tym musimy pracować w sposób dumny. Musimy być dumni z naszych usług, ale też wskazywać na to w jasny sposób w naszej komunikacji. Słuchajcie, to jest wysoka jakość. To jest coś, co potrafimy robić. To jest coś, w co zainwestowaliśmy. Jesteśmy profesjonalistami, możecie się na nas oprzeć, wiemy, co robimy. Widzimy też, że otoczenie też oczekuje, że będziemy interaktywni, że będziemy komunikować się z samorządem czy rządem, z instytucjami samorządowymi. Jest to oczywiście kosztowne, ale technologia jest w stanie nam pomóc. Wiemy, że młodzi ludzie bardzo chętnie się komunikują na czacie, na różnych komunikatorach i oczekują też od nas dostępności, choćby w środku nocy. A więc z wielką ciekawością będę przyglądała się tym zmianom w przyszłości. No dobrze, jakie mamy innowacje? Co tak naprawdę możemy ulepszyć? Na pewno możemy ulepszyć nasze usługi, nasze produkty i polityki. Na pewno możemy poprawić naszą technologię. Mamy też naszą kulturę organizacyjną, czy też procesy organizacyjne. To jest też coś, co może zostać poprawione. Także komunikacja na zewnątrz i wewnątrz. To jest coś, co też musi być dostosowane zarówno do otoczenia, jak i do rynku. No dobrze, w jaki sposób w takim razie możemy być innowacyjni, jeśli chodzi o kulturę? Na pewno musimy się skupiać na regułach, na prawach. Musimy patrzeć na konsekwencje, które nas czekają, na pieniądzach oczywiście, na budżecie. Jak być kreatywnym, innowacyjnym w tym samym czasie? Czy to nie jest coś, co się ze sobą często kłóci? Oczywiście potrzebujemy nowych pracowników. Nowi pracownicy często zadają wiele nowych pytań, ale potrzebujemy, żeby nasi pracownicy byli innowacyjni i kreatywni. Potrzebujemy natomiast również zewnętrznych źródeł informacji. Być może możemy wejść w komunikację z innymi instytucjami i być może się okaże, że rozmawiamy o tych samych ludziach, ale dostarczamy im innych usług. Możemy więc z nimi współpracować, możemy z nimi dyskutować, możemy wykorzystać zewnętrzne różne źródła, ludzi od technologii, nowych ludzi. Potrzebujemy, chcemy innowacji, ale czy chcemy innowatorów? Czy możemy wprowadzić innowatorów do naszej kultury organizacyjnej? Czy jest to w ogóle możliwe? To, co widzimy po przedsiębiorstwach, to to, że jest to dość trudne, ale na pewno możemy podzielić nasz personel, naszą załogę
people,
I
departments.
dzięki temu możemy stworzyć więcej innowacyjnych departamentów czy działów w ramach projektu. I w pewnym sensie, mając część pracowników ze starej kultury, możemy powrócić do tej starej kultury i nie skupiać się na innowacjach. Natomiast to, co chcę powiedzieć, to to, że chcemy na pewno zachować swoją kulturę, bo ona działa, ale chcemy też innowacji. Ale może chcemy innowacji bez zmieniania kultury w 100%. To też jest w porządku. A więc możemy wdrażać innowacje w takiej dość tradycyjnej kulturze. A więc zmieniać tradycyjną kulturę za pomocą innowacji, bo nowe usługi i technologia zmienią naszą kulturę, ale to potrwa trochę czasu. Natomiast musimy na pewno pamiętać o konsekwencjach tego i mieć również z tyłu głowy całą pracę, którą już do tej pory wykonaliśmy. Jak więc zacząć w ogóle tego typu proces? Przede wszystkim powinniśmy określić jasną strategię innowacji. Co mamy zamiar zrobić? Kim są ludzie? Co mówi nam rynek? Co mówi nam otoczenie? Co mówią nam nasi własni pracownicy? Czy możemy zrobić to w sposób łatwy, w sposób prostszy? Być może możemy to zrobić szybciej lub taniej. A więc kiedy zdecydujemy się na wprowadzenie innowacji, że chcemy wyjść naprzeciw rynkowi, otoczeniu czy też użytkownikom, to musimy oczywiście też dostosować się do społeczeństwa i też, żeby to osiągnąć, musimy mieć bardzo pozytywne nastawienie do innowacji. To nic złego, to nic niebezpiecznego, to wszystko możemy zrobić stopniowo. To my decydujemy, co robimy, nikt za nas nie decyduje. Możemy oczywiście też powiedzieć, że innowacja jest częścią naszej wewnętrznej komunikacji i kultury i możemy mówić o tym regularnie, ponieważ jest to dla nas istotne i dostępne. Musimy też zająć się rzeczami, które są dość trudne. Musimy również cały czas regularnie wyróżniać naszych pracowników i pracę, którą wykonują. Musimy również wyróżniać czy też doceniać projekty i pomysły naszych pracowników. Możemy również współdziałać z różnymi instytucjami, które nam pomogą. Możemy również powolutku aktualizować procesy o zasady zwinnego rozwoju, bo to jest też coś bardzo ważnego. Bardzo ważne są również zachęty do pracy innowacyjnej. W organizacji musimy powiedzieć, że nasi pracownicy mają czas, mają godziny pracy, które mogą poświęcić na innowacje, że nie muszą spędzać, że nie musimy spędzać czasu czy zasobów, znaczy musimy właśnie wydać pieniądze czy zasoby po to, żeby nasi pracownicy mieli czas, żeby to robić. To musi bowiem być coś, co jesteśmy w stanie wykorzystać w przyszłości. Nie jesteśmy w stanie zmusić wszystkich do bycia innowacyjnymi w naszej organizacji. Możemy zmotywować tych, którzy chcą to robić. Możemy zmotywować osoby, które lubią technologię, którzy są otwarci na technologię. Możemy zmotywować tych, którzy są pełni nowych pomysłów i idei. Możemy również zmotywować osoby, które są sceptyczne, które raczej blokują pewne kwestie, które kontrolują różne kwestie. A więc potrzebny będzie ten wpływ z zewnątrz, bo jest bardzo wiele metod i bardzo wiele sposobów zmiany. A więc myślę, że powinniśmy zacząć od kultury, od tego, żeby zacząć tym pozytywnym podejściem do kultury, że to my jesteśmy właścicielami tego wszystkiego i mamy nad tym władztwo i sprawczość i decydujemy o tym wewnętrznie. Musimy również pozwolić ludziom znaleźć swoją własną rolę. Nie musimy zmuszać każdego do pracy w tej innowacyjności. Znaleźć osoby kreatywne, innowacyjne, którym to sprawia frajdę, które się dobrze z tym bawią. I jeżeli rzeczywiście będą mieli w tym dużo frajdy, to przyjdą za tym rezultaty. Chciałabym również opowiedzieć Wam o pewnej udanej innowacyjnej aplikacji w Norwegii. Jest to aplikacja VIPS, która została wprowadzona na rynek w 2015 roku. Był to najstarszy bank państwowy norweski, DNB. To ten bank wprowadził te innowacje. Bank ten zatrudnił zewnętrzną firmę zwaną Mcash. Mcash stworzył aplikację, napisał i zaprojektował aplikację na smartfony.
Working with this internal in DNB.
I aplikacja została wprowadzona wewnętrznie w DNB i DNB stwierdziło, że to rzeczywiście zmieni rynek płatności, rynek transakcyjny, być może tylko Norwegii, ale być może również na świecie. Technologia ta na pewno będzie działała szybko i konkurencja na pewno też się do tego przyłączy i będzie bardzo szybko pracowała nad wprowadzaniem tych rozwiązań. Dlatego też wprowadzili aplikację Mcash wewnętrznie w firmie i pomyśleli sobie, kurczę, a co gdybyśmy wykorzystali naszych własnych ludzi, żeby się temu dokładniej przyjrzeli. Tak bardzo zainspirowała ich ta aplikacja, że być może powinniśmy przyjrzeć się tej aplikacji lepiej i bardziej wewnętrznie. Zdecydowali więc, że stworzą strategię, zaangażowali ludzi, którzy byli zainteresowani i mieli kompetencje technologiczne i powiedzieli, słuchajcie, chcemy, żeby ta technologia Mcash, płatność w aplikacji była intuicyjna, prosta i szybka. Ale tak naprawdę macie swobodę. Bawcie się tym. Potem zaangażowali ludzi z wewnątrz tej firmy, pozwolili im popracować trochę na tej aplikacji. Było też ograniczenie czasowe. To ograniczenie czasowe dla pracy innowacyjnej jest bardzo ważne. Również niedobory, czy też presja jest bardzo ważna, bo im mniej zasobów mamy, im bardziej jesteśmy pod presją, tym bardziej nie mamy wyboru, tym bardziej musimy pracować i walczyć. Dlatego osoby, które weszły z zewnątrz, zaczęły nad tym pracować, pracowały nad tym swobodnie, to był ich cel. I co wypracowali? Wynik był niesamowity. Udało im się stworzyć specjalną aplikację, która tylko za pomocą telefonu, numeru telefonu i numeru konta pozwalała na wykonanie przelewu. Były w stanie robić to osoby starsze, dorośli. Było to bardzo przyjazne dla użytkowników. Oczywiście Mcash się nie za bardzo ucieszył z tego działania banku, bo dlaczego bank państwowy ukradł ich rozwiązanie i zaadaptował do swoich potrzeb. Oczywiście na początku byli wściekli, ale potem zaczęli ze sobą współpracować. Zastanowili się nad tym i uznali, że zmiany technologiczne zajdą bardzo szybko. I jutro ktoś inny coś takiego wymyśli. Dlatego połączyli siły i zdecydowali się, żeby te wszystkie kwestie rozwiązać wspólnie. DNB musiał w międzyczasie zająć się zupełnie inną kwestią, która była niesamowicie ważna, czyli bezpieczeństwem. Jako że aplikacja zajmuje się transakcjami finansowymi, to potrzebne jest bardzo silne, niezawodne szyfrowanie i pełna zgodność regulacyjna. Tak więc wszystkie osoby w banku skupiły się na tym celu, żeby stworzyć rozwiązanie. 2 lata później aplikacja VIPS weszła na rynek razem z Mcashem. To znaczy Mcash i DNB połączyły się w nową spółkę VIPS AS. Było to w 2017 roku. Działają już w Finlandii, Szwecji i Danii. Od 2024 roku. Aplikacja zostanie również wprowadzona na pewno w Polsce. Wiem też, że Google ma inną aplikację, która pozwala na płacenie bezpośrednio za pomocą telefonu. A więc widać, że te technologie naprawdę bardzo szybko się rozwijają. To, co widzimy na przykładzie DNB, to to, że to oni są właścicielami innowacji, mimo że zakupili te innowacje od dostawcy z zewnątrz. Uwierzyli we swoich pracowników, zrozumieli, że muszą wykorzystać również innowacyjne osoby spoza organizacji i pozwolić im pracować. nie dając im żadnych celów, znaczy dali im cel, ale nie narzucili żadnych ograniczeń, dali im swobodę. Mogli podejmować decyzje bardzo łatwo, mieli oczywiście ograniczenie czasowe, ale mieli dość dużo czasu i był to pewien projekt. Jeżeli nie rozwiązaliby tego problemu zbyt szybko, to by się oczywiście nie udało. Musieli naprawdę wejść w te technologie i sprawić, żeby projekt zadziałał. A więc jeśli chodzi o instytucje rządowe czy samorządowe, to na pewno jesteśmy w stanie współpracować z innymi aktorami, innymi jednostkami i oczywiście to popłaci, da nam to nowe zasoby, nowe możliwości. Technologia idzie bardzo szybko do przodu. Aby osiągnąć sukces, musimy potrzebować informacji, know-how, doświadczenia. I tak długo, jak mamy ten sam cel, kiedy myślimy o naszych obywatelach, o naszych mieszkańcach, kiedy myślimy o tych samych ludziach, to możemy się zastanowić, w jaki sposób udostępnić im różnego rodzaju produkty i usługi i w jaki sposób możemy ze sobą współpracować. To za pomocą tego być może jesteśmy w stanie ograniczyć koszty, być może jesteśmy w stanie ograniczyć lub wzbogacić, uzupełnić pewne usługi i wreszcie możemy być też bliscy użytkownikom, temu całemu otoczeniu i ich potrzebom. I jeżeli nasz cel to wysoka jakość usługi, to jesteśmy w stanie również uzyskać dodatkowe korzyści z takiej współpracy. To nie będzie robienie tej samej rzeczy przez bardzo różne jednostki, różne organizacje, instytucje, ale połączenie sił i wypracowanie wspólnego podejścia. I w tym też się kryje bardzo dużo innowacyjności i kreatywności. I wy też to na pewno wiecie, pracując w tych organizacjach. Wiecie to na pewno najlepiej, ponieważ macie doświadczenie, macie wiedzę i jesteście w stanie spotkać się z użytkownikami. Widzicie ich każdego dnia. I wiecie, że żeby iść do przodu, niekoniecznie trzeba działać w ten sam sposób. Być może trzeba coś zmienić. Czy jesteśmy w stanie dojść do tego samego celu w inny sposób? Czy możemy pomyśleć o czymś w inny sposób? Tak, to jest możliwe. I wtedy potrzebujemy więcej niż jednej głowy do myślenia. Potrzebujemy wielu głów, potrzebujemy wielu punktów widzenia, potrzebujemy wielu pomysłów. A ponieważ nie znamy całej technologii, możemy mieć jakieś zadania, jakieś cele, ale może nie wiemy, co jest możliwe technologicznie. Dlatego też projekt, komunikacja z osobami, które się znają na technologii, to też jest niesamowicie istotne. To jest coś, co pozwoli nam uzyskać wyjaśnienie na temat tego, czym są te produkty, co różne organizacje oferują, co jest możliwe. I dopiero wtedy wy, jako eksperci w organizacji samorządowej, rządowej, jesteście w stanie powiedzieć osobom od technologii i reszcie społeczeństwa, co jest ważne. Bezpieczeństwo, przepisy prawa, regulacje. Ile lat na przykład potrzebujemy, żeby dojść do takiego punktu, do którego rzeczywiście chcemy dojść. I myślę, że ta duma z komunikacji, z kompetencji komunikacyjnych na rynku jest też bardzo ważna. Być może jest to potrzebne, żeby powiedzieć naszym obywatelom czy mieszkańcom i wyjaśniać im to raz po raz, czego mogą oczekiwać, jakie oferty usług czy polityki produktów mogą uzyskać, ale również to, czego nie dostaną. Ponieważ widzimy taką tendencję, że ludzie oczekują od nas coraz więcej i wydaje nam się, że wszystko możemy mieć, że wszystko może być dla nas dostępne, więc dlaczego niby nie możemy tego mieć? Ale być może wy, jako również część społeczeństwa, część społeczności, powinniście przyjąć tę rolę i wyjaśnić społeczeństwu, dlaczego rzeczywiście nie mogą mieć wszystkiego. Tak, żeby rzeczywiście dopasować się swoją ofertą do oczekiwań. ponieważ jest bardzo dużo informacji, bardzo dużo komunikatów w społeczeństwie, które często nie są w ogóle prawdziwe. A więc jest taka potrzeba, czy też żądanie w tym otoczeniu, że to wy, jako część społeczeństwa, powinniście lepiej komunikować. Że to wy macie autorytet do dawania rad, wyjaśniania różnych kwestii, a także potraficie powiedzieć użytkownikom, w którym kierunku możecie pójść. Bo to też zwiększa tę dumę z waszych produktów i usług. Możecie jasno zaznaczyć granice, dlaczego użytkownicy czegoś nie dostaną. I to też poprawia komunikację. Komunikacja jest bardziej interaktywna. I oczywiście osoby w społeczeństwie będą też lepiej niejako wyszkolone do współpracy z samorządami. Nie wiem, czy macie Państwo jakieś pytania. Wiem, że możecie zadawać je na czacie, na Zoomie. Oczywiście możemy na te pytania potem odpowiedzieć. Natomiast pamiętajcie, są ludzie, którzy mają pomysły. To ludzie podejmują decyzje. To ludzie wspólnie tworzą różne produkty i usługi. To ludzie analizują, co się dzieje. Technologia jest jedynie narzędziem, które nam pomaga, a użytkownicy, którzy rozwijają się niejako na rynku międzynarodowym, widzą różne rzeczy i oczekują nowych rzeczy. To nie dlatego, że są chciwi. To nie dlatego, że są niezadowoleni z waszych dotychczasowych usług. To chodzi o to, że informacje dookoła nich są tak szybkie, jest ich tak wiele, uderzają z każdego kierunku i w pewien nieświadomy sposób oczekują czegoś więcej.
Also maybe, I don't know if this is your task, but we see that
To, co również ważne, nie wiem, czy to jest wasze zadanie, ale to, co widzimy w Europie, to oczywiście stopniowe starzenie się społeczeństwa. Młodzi ludzie, którzy pracują, którzy płacą podatki, tych osób jest o wiele mniej. A więc jaki może to mieć wpływ na usługi i produkty, które samorząd czy rząd może oferować swoim obywatelom? Zakończę moją prezentację i zachęcę was teraz do zastanowienia się nad tym, co się dzieje. Społeczeństwo się starzeje. Młodych ludzi nie ma aż tak dużo. Są zmotywowani do innowacji, do innowacyjności, a więc możecie zacząć już dzisiaj. Dziękuję bardzo.
Grethe, thank you very much. Dziękujemy bardzo.
Thank you very much, Grethe, for this very interesting overview of the very important aspects related to realizing and introducing innovation to our organization. But also thank you for showing us a very important aspect without which innovation could not happen, namely the approach to cooperation, a cooperation that is frequently, as we have said in the beginning, or as specifically Mr. Kamil Bieder said, about the importance of cooperation and being above and beyond any potential divisions and competition. So now we will hear a presentation from Morten Ellingsen, and he will tell us about the innovation and human resource management on the example of Nordre Follo, which is south of Oslo. And what is also worth mentioning is that Morten previously also worked for business, but he will tell you more about his experience of his head of communication. So Morten, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everybody, and thank you for inviting me to this very interesting seminar about a topic that is very important in my life. I'm no academic expert in this field. I'm one of the practitioners who works with this every day. So I'm very glad to be able to come here and talk to you a little bit about our thoughts and experience in this field. I am Morten. I am head of communication. citizen dialogue and political secretariat in Nordre Follo Kommune. And as you can see in these pictures, I have a very, all of my days are not the same. It's very much different tasks, different situations. I have to deal with a lot. But what I would say that I am doing in the overall sense is that I'm trying to create tomorrow's municipalities for Norway that is both economically sustainable, climatically sustainable, and socially sustainable. And they're also supposed to be a good place to live. Because as you can see of the biggest picture on this slide, I also live in Nordre Follo Kommune with my family, my wife Silje and my 4 kids, and I would be able to feel that what I'm doing at work also make a good life for me and my family. Nordre Follo is one of the neighbors to our capital city, Oslo. We are situated right by Oslo, and I used to say that we are the best of 2 worlds. We are Norway's 15th largest municipality. I've written on the slide that we are 6,400 citizens. That's not quite true. We are 64,000, that little typo there. But we are, in a Norwegian sense, medium plus, and in a Polish context, medium minus. I think we would be around your 70 largest municipalities. So we are quite small in this context. But we are big in Norway, and we also have 5,000 employees that works for us every day to try to make the life of our citizens as best as possible. We are 5 years old as a municipality. We joined forces. 2 old municipalities joined in one 5 years ago. I think that's been a success, but we have a long history also before we became one formal municipality. One of the first areas of Norway that came up from the ice when the old ice age disappeared was in Nordre Follo. So as long as there's been a Norway, there has been a Nordre Follo. We have always been there and will always be there. And we combine the best of 2 worlds. We have several different train lines that can take us into Oslo in 11 minutes via high-speed train, where you get all of the urban qualities of culture, as you see in the picture in the middle, and many people also work in Oslo and live in Nordre Follo. But we also, when you are in Nordre Follo, there is a lot of practicalities, and also we are very near nature. So as you can see of the picture, I can take my skis and go to work in the winter months, and that's a quality I really like. It's 11 minutes to the best cultural events in the country, but I can also go to ski to work. I can go out my door, have snow under my ski every meter from my door to the door of the city hall. That's a quality I really enjoy. So how do we work with innovation and creativity? A big part of that is telling why we have to work with it. And what I'm about to tell you is a story I tell very many times during a day. This is one of the important things of doing this work, is to tell why we have to do it. And Norwegian municipalities have, the way I see it, 4 big challenges. The one is that we have too many tasks. Norwegian municipalities are supposed to do a whole lot of things in a very wide range. And there is nobody who exactly can tell all the things that we are doing. Our parliament had a commission that were supposed to say something about how a municipality is supposed to work, and if all the municipalities are supposed to do the same. And they ordered to get a list of all the tasks a municipality in Norway is supposed to do. And we weren't able to produce that list. So we have so much to do that nobody knows it. And that's kind of an issue. And the second problem is that all of those tasks are very highly and detailed regulated. So we have to do them in a very high standard, very detailed. It's not very easy to get creative and innovative when the regulations and the laws are so strict that they are. And we have so much tasks, and those tasks are going to be done with so high quality that we don't get enough money to do everything properly. And that's the third problem. And many municipalities also have the problem with not getting enough people who are willing to do the job for the money we offer. And that's not a big problem for us yet in Nordre Follo. We have some areas where we struggle with the recruitment, but for many of the rural municipalities around the coast, they have trouble with getting enough people to take the jobs that are available. And on top of that, we also say that Norwegian municipalities now are hit by an economical perfect storm. There is very many things that doesn't go in our direction right now. For instance, we have very high interest rates, which make it more expensive to pay on loans and interests. We have high energy costs. We have a war in Europe that we have a lot of refugees that's come our way. We have a population that gets older and older and older and needs more and more help from the municipality. And those things and a lot of other things do that the economics in the municipalities are tough and hard, and we have to make some tough choices. And so far, we have been rescued a few years now with citizens paying more tax than we expected them to do. That has saved us 2 years in a row. This year, we have done the error in the other way, so people are paying much, much less tax than we expected them to, not just in Nordre Follo, but in all of Norway. So all the municipalities are reporting that they are struggling with not getting enough money in. And this makes a harsh reality that's been more and more clear during the last year, that when my municipal director put forward his suggestion to the municipal budget for next year, he was very clear. We simply can't afford everything anymore. And he pointed to some very clear measurements that we could impose. That's very dramatic for people. We could have fewer employees. We can use less space. We could have more pupils in the classrooms. We can do our tasks with lower quality, or we could cut services in the whole. Do we, for instance, need 2 public libraries in our municipality? Well, maybe we can't afford it. And we can also impose a stricter use of discretion, in the sense that if you're eligible for a service, maybe we don't give you all the things that we're giving you so far. Maybe we can give you less service, fewer tasks from the municipality. We have a budget of 6.2 billion kroner. That's approximately 200 billion zloty, and we have to cut 260 million kroner over the next 4 years. That's real money and real services. That's about, I think, 95 million zloty over 4 years. For us, that's serious business. That's real cut that will change the way people view the municipality. So this is the story I tell very much. This is why we need creativity and innovation. We have to find new ways of doing this. And we've spent a lot of time establishing this common perception of reality. Something must be done, and it has to be big and radical. It has to be new ideas. So how do we work with this? Well, first we have to see change in a different way than we traditionally have done. This, as you can see on the slide, is the model that I was taught when I went to university first. This is the traditional way of one of the many traditional ways of looking at change, where you establish a sense of urgency. You explain to people why you need to do a change, and then you unfreeze your organization. You spend a little bit time with maturing the employees and the people around it and telling people what we're going to do. And then you do it, and then you spend some time making sure that the change is set, and you fasten your organization, you defreeze your organization. I think we now see a different kind of way to treat change, more circular. It's always change. When we are in one process of change, we are already talking about the next one. So right after a change, we don't defreeze our organization anymore. We just say, don't get too comfortable, because very soon there will be a new process, and here we go again. And then we go around and go around and go around, and the sense of urgency is always there. It's not something that comes and goes every few years. We always need to change. This is a new way of looking at this, especially from our point of view. Change, creativity, and innovation is in our vision. When we built our new municipality 5 years ago, we had to choose a vision. Our old municipality's vision was a place to love. And on the track, the two ones, we couldn't use any of those. So we went for near and innovative. We are supposed to be near our inhabitants, near each other, and not to be too distant. And we have to be innovative. We have to find new solutions. And this is something we use a lot. When we brand the municipality from a communication point of view, we use this vision very actively to say that this is what you should expect of Nordre Follo. Another thing that's important is that communication is key. We use a lot of communication skills to transform our organization to be able to think creatively and to be innovative. We do it in our communication department. We are changing how we work. We had one of our earlier employees who went over to another job, and instead of hiring a traditional content producer, we hired a young storyteller that tells the story about what's happening in Nordre Follo in a whole new and different way with a new perspective. We have also hired several new younger persons with new and exciting competence that really is changing the way we are communicating. But it also is about how we communicate internally about this process. It's not just about how we use our municipal website or our Facebook account. It's how we talk to each other about this. We talk a lot about what it means to be creative, what it means to be innovative, that we take risks, that we try new things, and it's okay to be innovative. We try to use this when we do our employer branding. We use, for instance, LinkedIn as a platform very actively to show all the creative processes that we're doing in the municipality to attract creative people who want to work for us the next time they're going to change their job. And we also talk about the story I told you about how and why we are going to do this, why we need to change. We also tell that a lot to ourselves, to our employees, to our citizens, to our politicians, to our local business, to the media, and to Parliament and the other government functions we are talking to. We need to be speaking a lot of why we're doing this and what we need to be able to do this. And then we need to have an organizational culture for the creative and innovative. We have to create an environment where that's the normal thing to do. You're expected to challenge established truth. You're expected to ask why. You're expected to be curious. You're expected to see, why is it like this? Does it have to be like this? Could we see this from another point of view? Could we see this in another direction? And sometimes I've been to workplaces where that kind of thoughts have been not encouraged, and people have been annoyed of me thinking too much about why is it like this. In Nordre Follo, we have to think like this. In Nordre Follo, we encourage it, and we applaud people asking the questions, can we do this in another way? We, amongst our 5,000 employees, we have approximately 350 of those have some kind of leadership role, which they have to fulfill. And those leaders are very important to us. They do a very important job in creating an innovative municipality. So we try to make sure that they pull in the same direction as us. So we use a lot of energy and time on leader development. We have just finished a 2-year leadership development program, which you can see on the picture here. This is the first time we were together in this program. We've had it over 2 years, and we have talked about things about how we are modern leaders of a modern organization that is supposed to open the organization for change and innovation, at the same time that those leaders also are supposed to make sure that we are following the rules and the ethical standards and the judicial standards. So there's also always a balance here, but this is a highly skilled leader set that now is much more able to help us pull in the same direction. And we also set higher demands for our leaders. Now in 2025, we are setting a whole new rule set for reporting, and we want to follow up our leaders much more closely in how they are working with creativity and innovation. Innovation is a very big part of how we report what we are doing to our next leaders. And then we have to celebrate the good things we are doing. There is a lot of innovation that's taking place in Nordre Follo, and once a year we collect all of the new ideas, all of the new thoughts, all of the new solutions in one big Innovation of the Year gathering, where everybody can nominate their project, and then we vote the best solution. And this is a big part of our springtime every year. We're really enjoying this, and it's a lot of enthusiasm within our employees to vote the best solution. Last year, it was a solution made by the people who are cleaning our schools and our elderly homes, and they won the prize, and we're very proud of what they were doing. With good reason, this was a very good winner of the Innovation of the Year prize. And then we have everybody is supposed to be doing innovative things in their departments all the time. Small innovative changes every week, every month, almost every day. But some projects needs extra attention. Some projects are really big and also have a lot of ethical and judicial things to consider. So we have our own innovation department. It's not very many people, but they take on the big projects, the big tasks, and lead us through those with efficiency, so that we can spend the least amount of time we need to do the changes and get the job done in a good and professional way. And then we have this. This is a picture of artificial intelligence, which is a very promising technology with a lot of different tools that's available. And we are very excited to see how we can use these tools for the greater good of Nordre Follo. So far, it's been we're not using it to the fullest extent yet, because we have a lot of sensitive data. If artificial intelligence tools are going to work at its best, it needs very, very much data, and much of our data is very highly sensitive. We can't just give them to some corporation that gives us an artificial intelligence tool. So we have to use it very carefully, but we try our best to learn about this technology and how we can use it when everything is sorted out and we really can use it. So our municipal director bought a book about artificial intelligence to all the leaders of Nordre Follo last Christmas and told us to go home this Christmas and read this book. You're going to need it. We're also encouraged to try out new tools, play with it, talk about it, learn from others, and always keep ourselves updated. Me, myself, I took a course at one of our universities of Stavanger, just a few student points, but enough that I feel a little bit smarter about artificial intelligence. And we have leaders that encourage that sort of diving into new technologies and into new possibilities. And we also have to know that with more innovation and creativity, this comes with greater risk. When we try new things, we have to acknowledge that those risks actually can fail. We can make big errors, and it could be a little bit of a storm, and we have to celebrate that. When we risk things, we have to stand for that, and we can't get angry if we fail. We just have to shrug our shoulders and say, well, okay, that didn't work. How can we do it better next time? And that's also a communication thing. My people in the communication departments, I've told them, play with the rule book. Don't follow the rule book. Take more chance. But if you take a big chance, I want to know about it. So they tell me, I was wondering, do we dare to do this? And then I tell them, yeah, try, because then I know it. And I can tell if it's a really big risk. I can tell my boss, because the things that make bosses most frustrated is to be surprised. As long as they're not surprised, as long as they know that we take risks, they are very often on board and willing to take the risk. So communication is a big, big part of risk taking. So never surprise your boss or your employees. Be open about the risk you're taking. And then the last thing I'm going to say is this very important thing. You don't have to figure out everything yourself. We don't. We do a lot of new things in Nordre Follo, but it's new for us. Very often other municipalities have tried it before us. We steal with pride. If you have a good idea, we want to know it and we want to steal it. Thank you.
Chciałoby się rzeczywiście poklaskać, bo to była bardzo
Thank you very much. An applause is needed here because it was a very inspiring intervention. It's always like that when you join high competencies with passion and involvement. This is what you get, and we have heard it during this presentation. Now, we have visited Nordre Follo, and now let's visit the Polish Konin. We talked a lot about the organizational culture, and in order to get a good organizational culture, you have to have good leadership. This is what also Morten touched upon. Konin is a place where you can see a lot of innovation, a lot of creative thinking and creative activities. A lot of that is, of course, owed to the team that is headed by the mayor of Konin, the deputy mayor of Konin, Mr. Witold Nowak, who decided to share with us his personal experience, how to manage a team in order to foster such creation and such innovative attitudes. How to do it in practice? Let's see based on Konin. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Witold Nowak, and I am the deputy mayor of the city of Konin. It's a city where energy flows. That's how we often talk about ourselves, and you've probably heard it said more than once. It's a city located in the heart of Poland, on the Warta River, but the geographical location of our city is not what matters most here. What matters most is what I have to to share with you. I am very pleased that the Association of Polish Cities has once again placed its trust in us and wants us to share our knowledge. It is a great pleasure for me to meet with you today and present on topics that are important to us in teams, in working with human teams, about innovations in managing a team, because this is going to be our focus today, but also about the challenges we face. I don't want to hide them or sugarcoat them. I want to openly discuss them, because this is what we struggle with daily. I'm sure you face similar challenges every day. And I would also like to mention that what you are seeing, this recording, is because I'm sadly unable to be with you in person at this time. This recording is a part of a collaboration we implemented here in Konin with the Digital School of Greater Poland region. This is the Greater Poland 2030 project. And the National Education Operator. You may not have heard, but we are the only city in Poland, at least so far, to introduce such an innovative project. We are the city where a remote learning center was established, and today, using the facilities of this remote learning center, I will be communicating with you. So without further ado, let's begin. I want to tell you and show you how we try to manage our team. I have titled my presentation Critical Asset People. Why this title? Perhaps that's the best place to start. I was actually inspired just a few days ago while attending this closing conference of Norwegian projects in Warsaw. I cannot recall which presentation it was exactly, but I clearly remember that a lady from Norway said something along those lines. You can have everything, you can have the money, but the key is people. She even referred to it in the same way I've chosen the title for my presentation, so critical asset, people. Because we all know this to be true. We can undertake great tasks, various projects, whether simple or complex, and while in theory we could have an unlimited budget, though in reality it's always limited, but we could even imagine having an infinite amount of money to execute a project. But if our team, our critical asset, isn't ready, well then, can we truly carry out such a project? I would like to share a few examples with you. I will start in maybe a little bit a Hitchcockian way by shaking things up a little at first, but only to show you that things aren't as bad as they may seem, and they can really improve. It's very much to us how effectively we can act. So, when you are ready to fight, are you sure your team is ready? This, I believe, is something worth reflecting upon before starting any major project. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a project solely in the sense of executing something like local development or other Norway grant-funded initiatives. We implemented 4 such projects in Konin. However, it could be any other project, large or small. As leaders, and this is what I do, we should reflect on whether we are ready to carry out this project. But more importantly, is our team ready to do it? We've already selected the team, we've already appointed it, but is it truly the case? Let me even go back to something that happened just 5 or 6 months ago. We won the elections, we became mayors, we feel as happy as flea in a doghouse, and yet reality sometimes turns out to be different. We think we're ready to take on any project. How could it be otherwise? We won the elections, so we must be prepared for anything. We believe we can accomplish anything, but is it always the case? My 6 years of experience as deputy mayor have shown me that sometimes it's just in our heads. We think we are ready. We believe our fists just like in the photo I used during the election campaign, shared on Facebook and other social media, that the fists really symbolize this readiness. But it's just a perception. We won the elections, but we know very well that we can't accomplish anything alone. We can't do it without our officials, without the people we work with on a daily basis. So the real question is, are you sure your team is ready? Let's move on. So everyday reality, my friends, is not as simple as it might seem. It's challenging. And here I have pasted a few headlines from our local media, but not only local ones. At the top you can see officials resigning from positions at the town hall, councillors issue an appeal to the mayor. So it's an article from just a month ago, so we already passed the elections and we already have a team of people we know. And so what does this human team want? The team, meaning the official, want a 10% pay rise. So they approach the council and they say they want a 10% raise. This is what the article discusses. Another headline reads, Zabrze drowning in debt. I spoke in Warsaw with the city's mayor and almost 100 people in Zabrze, though I'm not sure if it was exactly 100, as the article states several times, were laid off from the office. Further layoffs at the town hall. This is not the end of changes at the Leszno town hall, reads another headline, highlighting yet another city, another large or medium-sized city, also laying off officials. And finally, the last image shows a topic I'd like to pause on for a moment. Perhaps you haven't heard about it, but we've proudly shared this news across Poland. We recently became the 4th city to receive the title of Child-Friendly City at the end of the month. Behind this initiative, this achievement, something I'll come back to, was the woman you see in the photos, Agnieszka Gołębiowska. Until recently, she was our youth and creative projects coordinator, reporting directly to me, an outstanding professional working with young people. But after we received this title, she left for Warsaw to work with UNICEF. And here's the question, did we have the tools to keep her in our ranks? Of course, I thought about this, I analyzed it at times, and we've discussed it within the management team. But let me tell you about her. This young woman came from the private sector. The city hall was her first public sector job. Before that, she worked in international corporations, which I believe is an even broader context of work. She worked on social projects in New York, social projects in Paris. Then she came to Konin. She wanted to work with us here. She helped us implement our strategy, later developed our visual identity system, and eventually became the Youth and Creative Projects Coordinator. The moment came when she decided to leave and we didn't have the tools to keep her here. Once again, the issue of job evaluation comes up, something we still haven't fully resolved in our office. But for me as a leader, it's also a reason to ask myself whether I truly did everything I could. Did I dedicate enough time to Ms. Agnieszka to ensure that even though she might have received a better financial offer elsewhere, she would still want to stay here? Do you face maybe similar challenges? Probably often, because the market, especially one like Warsaw, won't wait. It will simply offer more money, and someone who isn't tied down by some other factors, like family, small children, and this is exactly the case here, will choose a job in a large, reputable corporation, company, or even another public institution. She could have gone to the marshal's office, a government unit, or even to a ministry. I believe it's worth reflecting every day on whether we have such key officials in our team. And for me, she was one of those crucial employees. Did I truly do everything to value and recognize her? This is the question I ask myself. Did I ensure that she had adequate remuneration? But we all know that in our work, it's not just about the money. It's about interest, about communication, recognition from leadership, and all those soft skills we sometimes forget about. I'm not saying this is a critique directed at you, but as a reflection, I always begin with myself. I ask myself, did you do everything you could to keep this employee? And today, my conclusion, unfortunately, isn't very positive for me, because I probably could have done more. I probably could have dedicated more time and shown even more interest. Of course, I'm not the only one involved. There's the mayor and there's also another deputy. Did we truly do everything we could, and why is it so important? Well, it's important because, as I'll explain in a moment, we have to maintain this title. It's not something we receive once and for all. So let's move on. We know that in offices we often operate in silos, and this is clearly illustrated in the graph you see here. Here we have the exact organizational chart of the city hall in Konin. You can see where the mayor is positioned and then how the tasks are divided. It's clear that we work in silos. These silos are represented by the individual boxes you can see on this chart. And I think everyone who works in an office knows exactly how it feels to operate within those silos. But the question is, do we have to work this way? Should we accept that this is how things are? And there's the question mark. Should we agree to this structure as it is? Let me share with you what we're doing to transform this silo mentality into teamwork. That's why the slide here reads silos versus, or silosity versus teamwork. Silos refer to our individual departments: Department of Communications, Department of Sports and Tourism, Department of Urban Planning, and so on, each operating in isolation. I have some fresh examples of people who have joined our office, for instance, coming from other units, and their impression is often, wow, it's completely different here. Everyone fiercely defends their own territory. This is mine, it's not part of my tasks. You know exactly what I'm talking about, because we all encounter it every single day. But let's take a moment to consider what's on the other side. On the other side, we can do teamwork. We can have project teams. I'd like to show you a few examples to demonstrate that, how we manage to do it. And I want to highlight this in relation to the challenging and perhaps disheartening information I started with. The initial jolt you may have felt. It's proof that it is possible. It's proof that every day we can work towards it. And I firmly believe that this is our calling, and all of you listening to me share this calling, no matter what team you lead, whether it's a department, an entire division, or perhaps something even larger. Whether you're treasurers, city clerks, deputies, that applies to all of us. I believe that all of us are able to try to move beyond this silo mentality and transition to teamwork. Teamwork, as it of course sounds better in English. I want to show you an example of a strategy. I won't dwell on it too much in this presentation, as I don't want to spend too much time discussing it. I believe I also talked about it during one of the local development forums about how we implemented this strategy. And our strategy is a little bit different. It looks somewhat unique, but most importantly, we introduced it in a different way. I've spoken about this as well. We implemented it specifically through teamwork. Of course, we also engaged residents, but primarily we brought together people from various departments, including department heads and staff. We wanted them to work on and document themselves, a document that would later mean something to them, something they would value. And as you can see in these photos, we succeeded in doing just that. Okay, it was the beginning of a previous term. There was a sense of freshness, that initial enthusiasm for change. And it's worth noting that over these 6 years, certain things have changed. When we took office, we inherited a city hall shaped by nearly 20 years of what you could call, in quotation marks, a political monoculture. It was, in a way, stagnant. So we had to shake things up a bit. The strategy example you see here is from 2019. The process of writing the strategy, of building it together, today I invite you to take a look at our strategy. I keep referring to it because it truly is different. This was one of the initiatives when we managed for the first time to break through this silo mentality. You can also see here examples of how we reached out to residents, though I want to focus on the human team, the critical asset, as I called it in the first slide. So I'd like you not to focus on those outreach efforts, but rather on what we're trying or have tried and will continue trying to do. So, a green energy city. Our vision for Konin encompasses many ideas, and we want this strategy to keep evolving until 2030. However, in order to implement it, we took the next step in our strategic efforts, thanks to the Norway funds for local development. We developed a new development path. I've spoken about it at various forums, so I won't dwell on it here either. However, a large sheet you can see in the center, held by representatives of the Association of Polish Cities, who advised us along with our excellent consultants, advisors, as well as the mayor and my colleague, the other deputy mayor, is an example of how we took things a step further. What you saw earlier on that sheet is a summary of our strategic initiatives. And our development path is guided by three colors: yellow, blue, and green, which correspond to the three pillars of our strategy. In order to implement this path, we established three interdisciplinary strategic teams tasked with executing priority development projects. We didn't want the strategy to be the sole responsibility of the Department of Development and Investments, which had traditionally managed a strategy in the city. Nor did we want the strategy to become just another document gathering dust on a shelf. We aimed to break through the silo mentality and more aptly to move beyond it by forming these interdisciplinary strategic teams. And these teams include people from various departments. They are not just department heads, but also heads of units and staff members from these departments. For example, councillors and anyone else interested in contributing to discussions about the strategy can join these open meetings and become part of the team. We asked our mayor, or rather our mayor on November 3rd, 2021, established the Konin Development Strategy Implementation Team for the years 2020-2030. You can see an example of the resolution here outlining the strategy's pillars. We have people's energy, we have green energy and urban greenery, alongside the goals from the local development program and the regional development institutional development program. The strategic team includes actions such as developing the office and the roles like deputy manager of the Development and Investments Department, the manager of the mayor's office, and even the director of the Municipal Sports and Recreation Center. So it's not the horizontal approach, but rather a vertical approach. So we asked people across departments and units to provide a broader perspective on our resources and to collaboratively work on the strategy. For instance, specific project teams are created to manage initiatives like building a sports complex. Such a project would involve the development of and investments department. So this is this new development path. But of course, the teams are also established to carry out some specific projects. You can see, for example, this creation of new playgrounds. And this is, of course, the Department of Development and Investments. It also concerns the particular school where it is being carried out. It's also related to me and to the mentioned MOSIR, or Municipal Sports and Recreation Center. So this more horizontal, not vertical approach helps us innovate, break down silos, and effectively execute our projects. The horizontal teamwork doesn't have to be limited to working on a strategy. Here, I'd like to show you two examples. So on the left, you can see a man from Egypt who participated in Brave MMA, an event we managed to host in Konin. We were the only city in Poland to achieve this, a gala organized by the Bahraini MMA organization, likely the second largest in the world. This was their 54th gala, and we successfully brought it to Konin. They told me, and I hope no one from Poznań takes offense if they're listening, that the heads of the organization, along with their Polish co-organizers, including some from Egypt, said that they have been to Poznań initially, but when they came to Konin, to Poznań, they actually directed them to when they came to Konin, they were directed to Poznań because they had a larger arena, a bigger audience, and generally they organized their events in capital cities. And if you visit the Brave MMA website, you can analyze where the galas have been held so far, primarily in capital cities across dozens of countries. The gala took place in Konin, finally, and to organize an event of this international scale, it was broadcast on 5 continents and aired for free by Polsat TV station. You can still find replays of it on Polsat. I sat down and thought, wow, but how can we make this happen? I couldn't accomplish it without just the Municipal Sports and Recreation Center or the sports department alone. We truly needed to establish a larger team for this. And I don't even have an official resolution regarding this because there probably wasn't one. Instead, I asked someone from the mayor's office to join the effort because of their language skills. I also reached out to the investor support department because of the Bahraini organizers. While communicating well, suggested we think a bit more from a business perspective. They indicated that such an event could attract potential investors, although the pandemic interrupted some of our plans. So involved the investor support department, and again, language skills played a key role in deciding who became a part of the team. I made an effort to involve younger employees, sometimes from various departments, such as the Department of Culture and Sports, who had language skills, and I also asked my colleague Pavel from the Department of Security and Crisis Management to join. There were many different activities involved, and I won't go into all the details now as time is pressing, and I don't want to dwell on just this one initiative. However, I must tell you that I brought together a team of people who, to this day, communicate well with one another. If I were to say today that we have a similar task, they would immediately sit down with me at the table and get to work again. What's more, I was later able to confidently recommend some of these people to my superiors for promotions. And they indeed advanced after this experience. Even if we involve lower-level employees, and this is the case of one person, I don't want to tell their name or department, but they were simply a junior employee. And later, due to some changes and shifts, the question was, who could become the head of the department? And at this point, I confidently said this person can easily become the department head. Why? Because they proved themselves through their work with me. They spoke the language, they proved themselves in action. I have seen how they managed their area of responsibility. I was able to assess the competencies of this employee. So this is something I encourage you to do as well. Not to always select managers, but to try involving a lower level employee. You can even ask the manager who stands out in that team and bring that person into a project team. And of course, somebody might get upset, but so be it. We just need to focus on achieving a goal. And for me, this one was incredibly important because it was truly spectacular what we have achieved. Now, coming back to this idea of Konin as a child-friendly city, I mentioned Agnieszka Gołębiowska, who now works at UNICEF. It was thanks to her efforts that we received the title of child-friendly city, becoming the 4th city in Poland to achieve this, alongside Toruń, Sopot and Gdynia. So we are the 4th city that got this title. So to implement these principles and to get the recognition, we worked for nearly 4 years on the initiative, which originally came from the Youth City Council. And we had to act entirely outside the box. We couldn't assign this to just one department. Moreover, the coordinator couldn't handle it on her own, especially since at that point she no longer belonged to any specific departments. She had been part of the strategic department, but after some changes she became more of a coordinator, a leader of certain initiatives. And for these initiatives, we had to invite officials from various departments. We needed to involve young people, members of the Youth City Council, young climate ambassadors, and many others. After 4 years of work, we received the title of Child-Friendly City. And once again, we approached it without assigning it to a single department. Of course, we could have given it to the mayor's office or to the Department of Culture and Sports, but that's not the point. Initiatives like the Child-Friendly City title and the entire implementation plan, past, present, and future, require a completely horizontal, not vertical approach. I truly enjoy such initiatives, and I encourage all of you to embrace this way of working. And so the experiences of my recent days, which I also wanted to talk about, well, it really isn't just about recent days. Maybe that's something we should operate this way all the time, as we are designed to do. First, we were given 2 years and only one mouth. You might say, all right, you've been talking for half an hour and now you are preaching about listening. But I think that it's about listening before speaking. So you have to step into the department, listen to the employees, sit down together as a team, and of course listen first and then speak. When they knock on my door, and they knock on my door when they have problems, they come from various departments, not just the ones that are under my direct supervision. And why do they do it? Because I try to listen to them. I am approachable. Of course, there are times when time is short, but let's be honest, time is always a convenient excuse. You will gain so much more by listening first and speaking later. As leaders and managers, we often have a tendency to think we know best. But we should take a moment and reflect. 10 or 15 years ago, we were also young employees, whether in the city office or elsewhere. And in my case, I started in the office directly in a managerial position because I came from business and from both private and non-private companies. But think about it. Weren't you 10 or 15 years ago also someone with ideas, hoping to be heard, yet perhaps there was no one willing to listen? So despite your busy schedules, I encourage you to listen first and speak later. So I encourage you to truly adopt this approach. My examples show that it yields good results. So, yeah, thank you for your attention. I would be delighted to hear your feedback on this presentation. I tried to share my experience in a very concrete way. Very specific examples, and I only regret that I couldn't meet you in person. As you are listening to my presentation and watching the slides, I am taking a bit of a break far from our country in a pleasant and slightly wintry atmosphere. So warm regards to all of you, also to our Norwegian friends who are joining us in person, and many thanks to the Association of Polish Cities for trusting me and allowing me to share these few words with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A very warm regards to you as well, to wherever you are currently in Konin. And thank you very much for this presentation. It definitely showed the back end of what we are very interested in, specifically about how to deal with challenges, because today we know that these challenges will simply continue to arise. So and how to build this most important resource resource, namely an effective team that works to achieve its tasks. And so, yes, we have established that teams are the most important parts of local governments, and therefore I want to invite Mr. Adam Cichocki, an expert in human resources management, who will tell us about his experience, well, as an expert, who will tell us about how it's done in practice in innovative local governments in Poland. So, Adam, the floor is yours.
Halo?
Hello, I hope you can hear me. Yes. So, an innovative local government problems and challenges. I have been a participant of a Norwegian grants program for the city of Przemyśl, and so what I'm going to talk about will definitely concern parts of that project. Well, local government as an institution. I really liked the presentation of our Norwegian colleague, a father of four wonderful children, because his approach is very close to my heart, namely the local government, the self-government, is not just an institution, but also a community of inhabitants. I have perhaps some doubts whether, in regards to the 90s, we have, for example, a regression of what I would call the community of the local government. Because even as the law in Polish says, self-government is a community. We definitely should think about this, what to do to incentivize the initiatives of innovation, and self-government offices are only one of the factors of the leverage for the development of the innovations. Definitely, the Norwegian grants are one of the important factors that helps. I'm talking obviously about the experiences from the city of Przemyśl, among other things, but the volume of tasks that the local governments have currently commissioned from other units compared to the volume of their own tasks is tremendous, and this is a huge problem, and there is frequently a lack of innovation for local needs. So during today's meeting, especially during Grethe's presentation, we have heard about innovation time and time again, but specifically the innovation as culture. If we're talking about innovation, then it hits the bullseye of human subjectivity, because yes, we do have an office as an institution, but it is not innovative in and of itself. We do have people in that office, and those people are the subjects that are agents of change. So therefore, it is important to talk about culture. So culture as values, as behavior norms, as the, if you will, spiritual climate that is currently being created in this whole community. This culture of asking each other whether you like your coffee, whether the person at the door greeted you this morning, whether you had to go to a specific office 3 times to prevent some trees from being cut down, or whether you were able to get that done through just sending one paper, and that was it. All organizations strives towards stagnation. And here I have listed some typical values that characterize stagnant organizations, which we had, for example, during the communist times in Poland. Pretty much every organization in Poland could be characterized by the values here on the left: so discipline, diligence, hierarchy, elimination of errors. Also, what we had from our Norwegian colleagues, we have to accept risks, we have to accept our failures and mistakes. We have to have some leeway and some freedom to breathe, simply. Obviously, the next factor is the right to make mistakes. These values can be seen in many organizations and can be managed in a conscious manner, for example, through development programs, through systems of employee assessment, through some research, some studies on the internal condition of the company. I really like this category that talks about being specific and being very down to earth and meeting the challenges halfway, or even exceeding them, being kind of predictive of what might come. Dialogue is the next category. I would argue with the deputy mayor of Konin, because he talked to us about listening. Well, yes, of course, listening is an important factor, but it might be a bit dangerous because it already creates this hierarchy that the employees have to listen to their boss, and this is this kind of quote unquote dialogue that is established there. But we have to have a real dialogue and not just listen to whoever is our supervisor. To me, personally, because I was a CEO of many big companies. I was a board member. I have been a high member of public administration. But I can tell you that from my perspective, the revolution happened when I stopped using my office and inviting employees to that office. But I simply sat down with the employees and started an equal dialogue. And through that, we were able to talk about what challenges we have, what values we should develop. I have not even put that value on this on the slide, but I think that servitude is a very important value as well. Every organization strives towards stagnation. This is a problem. A problem of ABB, for example, of Toyota, Ford. Banks also have a huge problem with that. With settling into a routine, into repetitiveness. So triggering initiative is a huge challenge. I used to be an intern at BBC. There were over 30,000 people employed there, and the key problem was how to trigger the initiative and the incentives from the employees. There are no other paths towards development and initiatives other than opening. Let me quote, but I'm not going to tell you where I'm going to quote it from. So the quote is by opening the doors and windows to the environment. Innovation requires a very good response to the question of why.
Oh, pięknie, tak?
Okay, it looks like we have everything here. So yeah, what is the purpose? What is the sense of change? What is the sense of looking for something that will facilitate our work, that will solve whatever problems we might have? Now, the next thing, knowing the expectations of the environment is a source of change. It is definitely one of the key and difficult aspects, because most of the contacts in the local government environment is contacts, for example, between the mayor and the deputy mayor, the president, what have you. And the flow of information to the lower level employees is a huge challenge. We have to make sure that all employees are informed on what is going on, both in the city, in the municipality, but also informed about the problems within the local government itself. So the local government office, city hall, for example, that employs, let's say, 150, 200 people, still is very prone to gossip, more so even than to verified information on what is going on in the office itself or around it. This is a problem in and of itself. The velocity of information flow through gossip compared to spreading that information through an aware, conscious, and verified manner.
Ja to nazwałem stała
I have called it the constant confrontation of the requirements of the environment with all levels and areas of the office, so continuous, persistent, and continuous feedback. In Przemyśl, we have had two studies, two open studies, for the inhabitants, where they could talk about the work of the specific units and departments, and also particular employees. We had a huge volume of data put into that study, and I'm not talking just about the negative responses. Many of them were very positive.
Ja jako podmiot
I myself, as a subject of all kinds of activity, well, the first thing that I have to say is that I am not indifferent.
Ja tutaj stosuję dość szeroką definicję innowacyjności.
I use quite a broad definition of innovation. So, for example, creating something new or building some added value.
Pierwsza rzecz to jestem
The
ja
first thing is the self
wobec siebie.
In the face of myself. I am the area for innovation, because my potential defines how much I can respond to the requirements and demands from outside. This is the specificity and the down-to-earthness that I mentioned before. This also means that I anticipate the change, and I have to answer the question for myself: how prepared I am for the change. The first thing that I think is very important here is this elementary kind of sensitivity and managing the opportunities and aspirations. Next, conscious career building. This is my duty to locate my potential within the environment that I operate in. So, in this case, an office. I have met many office workers that have switched departments to build their professional and social capital. But today, innovation is not just intuition and just some kind of mentality, but it also comes with very specific knowledge. So, for example, managing office processes or lean office processes. These are very specific, scientific almost knowledge that we could write a substantial volume of literature about. I have seen instances where office employees were able to analyze their structure of work and how much time they devote to what. And one aspect of that was to rationalize that work, but the other one, the more important one, is the awareness of how one functions and how can one change their mode of operation. And then we have the higher level, so not I or the self, but my position, my responsibilities, what is required of me, how do I use my time. So again, this is a very specific know-how that I have to adapt to my position, and that requires creative and active approach from me to the work that I do. In Przemyśl, it was very important to me that everybody in the office described their scope of responsibilities. Today, digital technologies allow us to very simply have this kind of operation, this kind of action, not to prove somebody that they are doing something wrong, but to be more self-aware. Because let me restate that this is a question of building one's awareness. So what am I responsible for? What tasks, what services, what clients am I responsible for? And based on that, what can I do better? This is the base that we start from. What projects do we start? What projects do we believe in? And what are those projects based on, if not on the internal change on the part of the employees? Next, we have the department factor, the department stage. How can the work be divided within a specific department, and combating the indifference in the department? I'm talking about things even as simple as the quality of the water in the department, because this also improves the quality of work. We have also talked about that in Przemyśl, about how to let the higher ups know about the needs of a specific department. I'm not talking about inventing new IT tools, for example, but simply a flow of information about the daily simple elements that can substantially improve the quality of work and improve the accessibility. So this category is basically my office. It is important for me to have that information, but it is not only about whether I am given that information, but whether this has been later put to good use. And for example, in Ukraine, there has been an employee that I was involved with of 120,000 employees, and there was a new management system put into place basically from the ground up. And this can be done as long as it is based on good values. In that case, the good value was the hunger for knowledge. Everybody in that company agreed that they are hungry for knowledge, and therefore they were able to completely restructure the company. And still, I myself, as the employee, have to be willing to get that knowledge and to live and breathe that knowledge. And this brings me to the last category, which is the municipality. Let me refer to our Norwegian colleague once again. Sorry for putting you here on the pedestal, but you talked about skiing to your work. For me, it is important that I, as an employee, am not just an employee of the office, but I'm also an inhabitant. And this refers to all of the aspects, so infrastructure, quality of life, exclusion, development, various different aspects of which I, as the inhabitant, am a subject of. So this is also my shared story with others. When working in administration, in an office, it doesn't mean I am outside of this community. I am very much a part of the community.
To są wnioski
So here we have some of the conclusions. The first thing, administration requires more supervisors' commitment to the employees. I have worked primarily for commercial companies as a consultant, and the conclusion that I frequently restate is that there is an important difference between a public-owned company and a commercial company, namely that a commercial private company requires even more commitment from the supervisors to cultivating the relationship with the employees. It is more difficult to manage. If we're talking about innovation as a program, then we have to create a good climate for it, a spiritual space for it. This feeling of participation and this feeling of agency. And all of that has to be professional. That is very important. And by professional, I mean there has to be an evaluation, because yes, of course, this is a question of subjectivity and spirituality, but we still have to measure it. This is not any child's play. We have to measure it because well, it basically defines our livelihoods, defines our income, the costs of our work, the cost of living, and all of that refers to real, measurable financial values. So, like I said, this is not play. This is the real, measurable value of our life, or at least this part of life that we call work. What is also very important, I think, and I hope that we will see that remaining from the Przemyśl project, namely the need for transformation. We have worked on that for the whole year, and I'm talking about a transformation of internal personal services, of consulting, of advisorship. I would be even a proponent of outsourcing, let's say, the accounting department, and in turn focus more on the employee functions of the employee support in better managing their own capital. I'm talking both about employees and their supervisors and so on. And not only the HR department has to be responsible for that. I'm talking about everybody who feels responsible for facilitating the work of their department or the office as a whole. Obviously, today we have a lot of knowledge, a lot of know-how about that. And we have to make sure to study that climate every now and then to make sure that it is continuously good to operate in. We have to build the relationship with the environment. This is the second to last thing that I want to mention here. After the pandemic, it is my observation that we have regressed from the openness to the other that we used to have, and this also pertains to the exchange of information between offices. Back in the day when I used to do interviews, there has been a lot of information exchange between offices and units and so on. But right now it seems that it requires a completely set of skills. It is a completely separate entity. What we have also heard in the Norwegian presentation, we should learn from others. We should not be ashamed that we do not know something. We have to reach for the know-how that somebody else has already developed, and then, of course, adopt it for the benefit of our institution or our community of inhabitants. And I'm moving slowly to the end of my presentation because time is of the essence, definitely. And here we have the study from Przemyśl regarding feedback, regarding the feedback about one's work of a given position. Obviously, it is hard to talk about any volume of information if there is no continuous flow between the supervisors and subordinates. In this study, there has been a tool that measured the feedback time in real time, and so it not only measured the response itself, but the respondent's conviction that the response was true. And here, as we can see, in November of 2022, among the specialists, only 44% said that the feedback has been given, and only 7% of them said with high conviction that this is actually the case in the office, that this is what the situation is. Because we were studying the response time. After a year of work, of total and complex, comprehensive work with every employee, every supervisor, after coaching sessions, after many talks, after many workshops, activities, you can see that among the specialists, the number of people convinced that the feedback is actually related to what is going on in the office has spiked from 7% to 42%. Again, I'm talking to our Norwegian friends. This is the fruit of what you were able to do on your ground and what we have adopted in Przemyśl with your input as well. If we're to look at the second slide here, in the group of employees between their 4th and 10th year of employment, we have had 48% of people that said, well, that there is some feedback, and after 1 year of work, 93% of employees said that a feedback has been given. And out of that group, 12% were convinced of the truthfulness of that feedback initially, and then after 1 year, 43%. So you can see there has been a true revolution in that office. Obviously, there is still a question whether those blueprints of behavior, those practices that were developed through that project will be multiplied in the future. But so far, based on this kind of study, it seems that the office really cares about its values, because obviously we're talking about the city hall of Przemyśl, so it is not just some office. The study has also been conducted after the wonderful help that has been given for Ukrainian refugees, and everybody in the office has been involved very much so in that process. So this is a very special situation, and so despite that, the reserves for the engagement improvement, I would say this is a very important indicator for assessing the climate of innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was an amazing summary to today's meeting. Thank you very much for joining us, for your presence, and for sharing a lot of personal remarks. And I would like to ask Mr. Tomasz Podkański to sum up and close this meeting. So many thanks to our speakers. We were able to hear 4 great interventions, very interesting, very engaged and thoughtful. And I would like to sum up all the most important reflections. I also noted down a few points, so I'd like them to stick with us and that we can take them home after this local development forum. Ms. Grethe Holtan reminded us that even though 50% of innovation is mainly forced upon us by the clients and users of local administration, it's 40% that's created by our staff. So it's important to create good conditions for that. She also pointed to a very important fact, which is the thing that it's a precondition that isn't fulfilled in the Polish local administration and in organizational cultures of Central and Eastern Europe, which is that there is no allowing mistakes. We don't allow mistakes here, and in the Anglo-Saxon culture and in Norway and Scandinavia, you can make mistakes, you can test, you can trial, and you won't be punished for that. She also pointed to the fact that the controllers have a very important task. In our culture, you have to find someone who is to blame, and in your part of Europe, it's about to help another one not to make the same mistake again. Also, changing the way of culture functioning within a country. So good feedback from the inside and from the outside is very important. Valuing and appreciating employees, promoting teamwork, it's also very important. Innovations in the private sector are very quick because there is economic justification for that. But I am very happy that in Poland, this banking app that allows us to send money to someone's phone number is already there in Poland. So, as I can see, we probably adapted it from Norway. So we should listen to our employees and to our users. Morten Ellingsen from Nordre Follo Municipality pointed to why we need creativity. There are 4 reasons that are equally important in Poland and Norway. There are too many tasks, too little well-qualified people, too high expectations on the part of inhabitants, and too little money. So too little money, it's the crisis of local governments in Norway now, because the revenue went down by 5%, and it sadly causes yet again in Norway this openness to innovation, because you have to make choices. Morten Ellingsen also pointed to the fact that a change is possible, especially under such forced conditions, but you need good internal communication and good communication to the outside. So organizational culture has to be favorable to such approaches. He also pointed to an extremely important thing, which is that among administrative employees in his municipality, 5,000 people, but even though it's quite high in comparison to Warsaw, but in Norway, the whole public sphere is self-government sphere. So in Warsaw, you would have to add, or in Poland, you would have to add a lot of many employees of social assistance centers, schools, and so on, to get such a number. Among those people, there are quite many medium-level managers, and in Poland, we call them exactly medium-level managers. This is the little translation. Or we call them managers sometimes, or heads. Morten Ellingsen calls them leaders of their teams. And we have to create leadership skills among them, because anticipating such change, they started a training for 350 medium-level managers, medium-level leaders. It's not to undermine the main leader, but it's in order to make all those medium-level leaders to support the main manager in all the goals, in all the objectives that he has convinced the inhabitants and councillors about. Morten also talks about celebrating success. You also have seen this innovation competition, and who has won it? It was a team, a housekeeping, a cleaning team in a social welfare center. Because innovation in administration doesn't have to be a big thing, even though Norway has solutions also for the big things. But it's about improving the services that are provided to the inhabitants, and there is a specific department that takes care of that in the office. Morten also pointed to the use of AI, and to appreciate AI, of course, to be cautious about the use of AI, because we handle very vulnerable data. But we have to remember about advantages and benefits of AI. And how can you get it? You can buy books for 350 medium level leaders for them to read those books during Christmas and to be able to apply this knowledge in the new year. So thank you very much, Morten. But I see another thing. It's about accepting risk, accepting failure, and open communication. So we learn from the others, and we have to be proud that we can adapt some solutions to our needs. Our Polish self-government officials have the same approach. The deputy mayor of Konin was talking about critical asset people, and I have a few reflections to his presentations. There are no leaders who can take on everything without a team that can face all those challenges. It is impossible, and Witold Nowak is also a medium-level leader, so to say, and he also supports his boss in a good way. He also pointed to the fact that there are valuable employees who go away, who quit, and he asked himself the question whether he's done everything in order to keep them in the organization. Another question is whether we do have some solid tools to keep people in our organization. Probably we don't, but we can create a motivating atmosphere. And teamwork, despite silo mentality, well, breaking the silos is necessary in this case. We also need teams, we need task forces. They don't have to be appointed in a formal way. There can be some kind of horizontal appointment, but we do have to make the participants know what our expectations are, and there is space for creativity. And so that the bosses of all those teams, well, they don't have to be managers or heads of units or administration heads. These can be people who are motivated, involved, and who have the right knowledge. And the last quote is openness to initiatives of the team. Listen first, then talk. This is a very important message to all the managers of all levels. And so thank you very much, Witek, for your intervention. And now Adam Cichocki, who's a great expert who brings his knowledge similarly to Grethe Holtan from the private sector. And he points to the fact that there is this regression in the sense of community in local government. So if you have a conscious innovators, they can see it very clearly. So in front of us, the self-government leaders of all levels, there is this task of creating this co-responsibility, co-ownership of the people for the self-government. He points to organizational structure as a set of norms, approaches, and behaviors that are promoted in the whole organization. Very often, the organization doesn't know that it promotes some behaviors which are contrary to that. Adam Cichocki also points to proactive activities and anticipating and predicting activities. You also need a lot of dialogue because innovation requires constant dialogue. And there is also this extremely important thing, something that self-government leaders who created self-government in Poland 30 years ago know it by heart, but now we have this huge generational exchange, and we have to repeat it over and over. The aim of being a self-government employee is public service. It's the service to the public and not the fulfillment of tasks that are put forward in acts and legal regulations. If we don't do it, we're not convincing, and our bosses are not going to win the coming elections. So we are the ones who are responsible for the victory in the elections if we don't see it as public service and not only the fulfillment of a particular range of responsibilities. Adam Cichocki also points to the fact that an aware information can push out any gossip. It is an extremely important thing. He reminds us that innovation is not only a change within the whole organization or an institution, but it's also a change inside of ourselves as those medium-level leaders or managers and team leaders. The analysis of time efficiency is not a hidden way of controlling or supervising or changing, but it's important for the management itself. He also says something that we probably know, but we have to reiterate it again. If the employee lives in the city for which he or she works, it's an additional motivator for them. And some conclusions. Public authorities are more difficult to manage than private authorities because it requires from the leaders and from the managers far more involvement. So you have to have higher qualifications, and it requires building trust and good communication inside and good communication with the environment, because public administration works for the environment. So thank you very much to both our Norwegian and our Polish colleagues for all your presentations, for this in-depth analysis of those problems, which of course decides on the efficiency of our work, on the perception of our work by our inhabitants, because it's public service and not fulfillment of tasks only. Thank you very much for this very interesting summary and very competent summary. So now only a few housekeeping rules. First, I would like to invite you for the 23rd of January. There will be yet another local development forum organized. It's organized again with our Norwegian partners. And I wanted to inform you that all the slides, all the presentations, and also the recording of this meeting will soon become available at our website, at the Association of Polish Cities website. You can find some former seminars there, so you can watch them there. And I'd also like you to fill in the evaluation questionnaire. You can find the link in the Zoom chat. We have organized 50 local development forums already, but there is still room for improvement and for discussion. Your remarks, your reflections are very important for us, so please fill in the evaluation questionnaire. Now, that's that as far as housekeeping goes, and in less than 2 weeks, we are going to meet in completely different circumstances, celebrating the most beautiful Christmas, the most beautiful celebrations, really. So the Christmas. So I wish you all the best for that, and a happy